We talked about this idea for quite some time to create a conversation, Slava and Volker making sense of it all, or Volker and Slava making sense of it all. Before we begin to dive deep into our topics, we would like to introduce ourselves, who we are, where we are, what our mission is, and how we think this video, this conversation could help you to get some knowledge about many things. We would like to combine all the things that are very important priorities in life. We combine health, spirituality, science, ethics, and philosophy into one conversation. Again, making sense of it all. And now, my dear friend, Volker, if you could please introduce yourself, and then I'll do the same.
Yeah, thank you, Slava. Yeah, I'm Volker Meissner. I have been a physician for over 40 years now. I have a practice in Germany, the Clinic for Holistic Medicine. And I started as a regular doctor. But very soon I saw that there is something more. So I got to know acupuncture and more traditional medicines, NLP and whatever came into my life. And now I've been for 30 years a holistic doctor. So that means that I practice regular medicine, of course, but I integrate many of the other things, many of other philosophies. And in my clinic here, the patient is the subject. It's not an object where we do something with them. It's a subject. So it's always the head, the boss of their own healing journey, because the patients have the responsibility for their health. So I can't take over this responsibility. And creating this sense of medicine, I say, well, we have a choice. We can choose how fit we are, how we choose our nutrition. Then we say, then we can do more. Then we can not only focus on being healthy, we can focus on being healed and happy. And this is my mission, to help people not only to regain their health, but to get off or let go of the identification of a patient and take over the identity of a happy person. This is my mission.
Thank you. That's a beautiful mission, and I could attest firsthand of the magic and work. Magic, I would put not in the quotations, but the healing magic that I experienced myself dealing and being helped by Dr. Volker Meissner. So thank you, Volker, for that and for spreading the health and conscious efforts for your patients to become more aware and take control of their lives, not waiting for others. A little bit about myself. I was born in Soviet Union, later went to the US. I've been always curious about many things. My main profession was a musician, composer, conductor, player of many instruments. Then life brought me to Switzerland, working for a scientific company which develops the tools for exactly what Volker described, holistic analysis of a person's well-being. And these tools help in practices worldwide for people to achieve their healthy goals, to be monitored, to be helped. And these tools are actually tools for practitioners to use in their daily practice. Again, my education laid mainly in music, but then later I've also completed study as a drugless practitioner in the US. And here in Switzerland, we continue to spread this technology with different system devices. By the way, they will be presented at upcoming Congress in Königswinter in June of this year, and you could find the details in the description to this video with all relevant information. We will write a little bit about ourselves also in the description, who we are and what we stand for and where to get information about us. Especially, there are wonderful books, which I think is a must to have in the library. 1, 2, 3.
Ah,
Then a little bit of mine.
perfect. Yeah. Yeah, great.
Okay, so here's a little introduction. Now we could start our conversation, our topics. What's been happening, what we think been happening, and how to make sense of everything that goes around us in the world in our everyday life. And we are deeply affected by many external and internal factors. So, what do you think, Volker? What are first questions that we address?
Well, in my daily life as a doctor, I see people who have uh, reasons to be ill. So there are some symptoms, of course, that's why they show up, and then we find the causes of the symptoms, and behind the causes there are sometimes reasons that keep the causes active, that cause the symptoms. And so I think this network of symptoms and reasons and causes, it's quite interesting to talk about because we have the external effects and we have the internal effects. So sometimes we need to be ready to be ill. There are people who just don't get ill and people who have kind of a abonnement for being ill. So maybe we can talk about how people can get rid of their addiction to be ill.
Very important. All right. And
Yep.
how can people get rid of all ailments which bother them in everyday life, in your opinion, as a practitioner of decades of working with
Oh,
thousands of patients?
yeah, we look what is the inner preparedness for that. What makes it easy for them to get ill or to stay, maybe not only get, but to stay ill. So get ill is different maybe, but there are people who have been ill for 10, 15, 20 years. So I said, why that? So what is the purpose of continuing this? And very often we go into deeper levels and we see very old blockages coming from belief systems created in their childhood, belief systems that they took over from their parents or from grandparents or whatever, where they grew up. And then we can say, so why is it so important to have this belief system? Why not let it go? Why not let it go of all these things? And this is not so easy, we see, because when we have a bad habit, we need to do the bad habit. It's kind of an addiction. So we can't decide not to smoke, for example. If they say, well, I should stop smoking. Okay. But if you stop smoking, it's not said that you are a non-smoker. You just stop doing things. So we have to change the inner patterns to make these people a non-smoker and not only to stop smoking. For example, I think this is a good example for that.
Okay, may I add something from my observation of the world of my life? And it's another story, I think, in my relatively short life. I've lived at least 5 lives in the different continents, under different circumstances, different political systems, different language systems. And what I found is that the priority in our life is often completely messed up.
Mhm.
Starting from childhood, in school, priorities are different. In relationships, priorities are different. Sometimes selfishness, entitlements create misunderstandings in the relationship between many circumstances in life, private life, and professional life, and so on. So my observation is that people focus on the wrong things in their lives, and these wrong things lead to addictions, not understanding the core issue, not understanding our internal body and external world, leave big room for chronic illnesses. This is like with cells. When cell in our body loses purpose, it becomes innocent. It wanders and doesn't know what to do with their life, with this cell's life. And it becomes a burden for the society or colony of cells. And it becomes sometimes malignant. And this not knowing the purpose creates pattern which we see in the world of chronic illnesses, unhappiness, depressions, psychological problems. We need to get a clear purpose for ourselves. What do you think in life? And one of the greatest purpose is to be healthy. Because when you are healthy, you radiate health. You attract more people who look at you and they say, wow, we also like to be healthy. We don't want to be burdened by all these external problems and internal chronic illnesses. And that's, in my opinion, is the first step on the journey of being aware and self-healing initiation.
Yeah, I would even go further. I would healthy, absolutely. But I would even go further in the sense of happy. So healthy and happy. If you focus on being happy, you include being healthy. A happy person doesn't care about health because it's quite normal. It's kind of a side effect, being healthy.
It's very interesting that a little bit of the political remnants in the American Constitution, it says we're entitled to the pursuit of happiness. Why aren't we entitled for happiness as a born individuals, only pursuit? But pursuit is a good thing. When you pursue happiness, the understanding eventually we are happy. Again, I observe in life that many people, including close friends and family members, they struggle. They struggle through everyday life. They struggle under tremendous, and we struggle as well, a burden of external pressures, societal pressures, pressures from every aspect of our existence. Starting with school, then going into workplace, going into relationship. Toxicity. Toxicity is rampant in the world as we see it. We see the toxic relation between countries leading to catastrophic effects, but the laws of nature are the same everywhere. Between cells, cooperation. Between people, cooperation. Between countries, between the whole world. We need a solid plan and we need cooperation for reaching this goal of health and happiness, which should be, by the way, the priority number one. Health and happiness, double H.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And many people don't know either of them. So they
again, that brings the issue of senescent cell. That's the cell that wanders aimlessly, losing its purpose, losing the creator or creation gave its purpose through DNA, through this library of meanings and instructions. But apparently, losing this focus creates a problem on a cellular level. And
yeah,
by the way, many of our listeners might be fascinated to know that we have about, what, 50 trillion of these wonderful cells in our body, and they're functioning as one whole organism.
Yeah.
This is fascinating itself.
Yes.
How they function, maybe this is the topic for another podcast, how the cells function together and what is going on in our body. But for now, we're focusing on how to give people a boost on the right way, how to suggest the changing modules in their way of thinking, prioritizing really important things. And what is most important thing in your life for you? Being selfish. I'm not talking about now patience. What is the most important for you as a wonderful human being, as a unique person on the planet?
Well, I can try. I think I'm on the way to be the best version of myself. So to get rid of all these things that are hindrances. So I think I'm out of this survival mode. So I think I have my purpose. I have a mission. I know why I'm here and how I can help, and to help people to find their mission or purpose in their life, to assist them in keeping focus, which is very prioritizing. Because so many people can't hold a focus longer than 30 seconds, but you need to be able to do this for minutes to change things in your life. And so we can help people to find a goal, at least, to find something that they could achieve, try to achieve. They can commit. Then so commitment is one of the bigger lacks also. So we can train people in different behavior. We can train them not to go with the mainstream, not to go with the masses, just to be individual. So in one of my lectures I'm always giving here is that we see what is the transformation between the self I'm now, so the trained self, and the future me, which is a person who is authentic, who knows who they are and what to do and what is the goal, what is the higher goal. And I think we can help many people to go the same way, to find out where they are, to as they say, that they get enough disgust of what they are tolerating right now, and they say, hey, I have to get rid of that. I'm not. I will not tolerate this anymore. And then they find the energy and the power and the force to go further. But people are on a survival mode, so they are not so much caring of them or for them.
What you were just said reminded me of a scientific double slit experiment in quantum physics, uh, which was conducted, I think, over around 100 years ago, a first experiment. And what you said resonated with one concept. This is the field of possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
The tiny, minute particles, such as electron, for example, exists in the infinite uh, number of possibilities. And the reality starts to exist when the act of observation, we're talking about material reality, comes into focus when there is observation or recording of the process. To show this experiment, this double slit experiment, which, in my opinion, proves what you just said, that conscious creates a focus on a
Mm-hmm.
certain reality. For me, this is also fascinating to observe as I was reading and trying to understand this effect, this double slit experiment. Basically, in this experiment, there are two screens. One is with the double slit, and across this double slitted screen, there is another screen with the measurement tools, recording tools. And the cannon, the subatomic cannon, shoots the particles, such as electrons, through this slit. When the electrons are observed, they behave like particles, like what we would expect, like matter. So if we basically throw a tennis balls through the slits, they will fly right through and create a pattern with two pillars, maybe one higher, one lower, to dots, dots, dots. But as soon as the observation is turned off, that creates a completely different pattern, which is in result creates like a water wave pattern. And in this pattern, electron doesn't behave like a particle. It behaves like an energy, and the whole screen, which is a recording device, recording screen, is filled with the waves, and they're everywhere. So in the science, this phenomenon, when something or a conscious or a living, and I would go even farther, a living organism or a living consciousness observes this change, it's called the collapse of the wave function. So from the energy, we all of a sudden have a particle. So it's materialized. Now we could take this concept while it's the law of universe and apply it to ourselves. When we put a conscientious effort and focus our attention on becoming happier or healthier, we will find the way, because your brain, our cells in our body will say, oh, you're on the right way. We want to be happy. Help us and we will help you. Help us with the good nutrition, with the good relationships, with the good air, good water. Just try to be the best version of yourself. If sometimes you want to fight with someone, think about how your cells are reacting to this. What is this cortisol levels would do to you if you start produce this negativity? Then your cells will focus on it and say, oh, we're in a fighting mode. We will help you to be nasty. Once you, I think, change the focus and observe it, observe yourself as I'm a decent human being. I'm all for becoming healthier, happier, and spreading this happiness. So do you think it's just the first step, knowing this slow universe, observation creates matter? So from nothing, from energy, all of a
Absolutely.
sudden, there is a substance.
Absolutely. So the physical matter reality is different from non-physical matter reality. And what we create, what we are constantly thinking of, at the end, we will create. It will show up. And my metaphor is always, we have kind of a projector here. And what we see in our world outside on the screen of reality, it's what we transmit. So if that what we see is disgusting or we don't like it, then we don't have to take any correction pin and think that we can undo a mistake there. So we have to repair or correct the photo inside, which we are projecting. And between this non-physical matter reality, which we are inside, and the physical matter reality, where you see the particles and the material come, there's this focus, there's this the consciousness that we're putting in the world. So we form our reality, that we form our state of health, of course. It takes some time, maybe it takes some weeks between the quantum and the Newtonian physical realms, but it will work. So that's one of the bases of my, as I call it, magic medical coaching. Mm-hmm. And so we can really see ourselves already in the goal, in the place where we want to be. We beam there, turn around, and they say, how did we get there here? Huh? So then we have this perspective from the end. Neville Goddard said you have to be there in the state of the wish fulfilled already. And then you have to feel how you feel when this wish is fulfilled or when your goal is achieved. And that's even with very severe ill patient, it works. It's not done in a week maybe, but it works. And so you can really get out of this non-physical materiality and put it into physical materiality. Yeah.
If we
definitely.
start as a baseline, and again, it's science, quantum science, the state of superposition. That's
Hmm.
the state when the particle is not a particle yet, it's everywhere. So one electron could have a countless possibility of development, and that's called superposition. If we take it as a baseline for right now, we're in superposition. From now on, any step, any effort we take would create a reality that we desire.
Yeah.
And that's the baseline. And again, we're talking about scientific laws. We're not talking about some uh, things that are out of our understanding.
No, no,
I
no.
think that's very simple. If we now come to the conclusion based on the evidence that observation of a certain particles, which are minute, tiny, on a Planck scale. Max Planck is one of the fathers of the quantum physics. Again, we will not get into this really deep science, but let's say on this scale, when all these tiny particles, which we cannot even imagine how tiny they are, and before particles, they're all in the energy state, and we do not to this day understand the concept of the energy. What exactly is it? There are scientists such as Alexander Gurevich, for example, another great physicist who was born in Ukraine uh, before it was under Russian protectorate, studied in Bern in Switzerland, lived in the beginning and mid 20th century. He discovered this uh, rays of life. So biophotons, also subparticles, connecting with each other in living things and creating through connection, sharing information through the cells, creating life. For example, there is an experiment, there was an onion experiment. Two
Mhm.
onions, one in the 90-degree angle towards another, the roots, and then separated by glass. The roots were developing normally without addressing or going towards each other. As soon as the separation was with the quartz crystal, which transmits UV lights and other lights, the roots started to go towards each other and then helped each other to grow. This is fascinating. This is energy which creates life. So we take superposition as the place where we are right now. And from this moment, we create a new pattern or new life,
Mhm.
becoming healthier, happier. And we have many opportunities. People say, oh, I've heard complaints that we're a victim of circumstance. As long as we are not being forced into something like slavery or severe deprivation, degradation, and starvation, or some external factors which we have no control over, I believe, like you said, we could take charge of our own intentions and choose to go or not to go, to do or not to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
And
we have the biochemical or the anatomic structures that are working with this superposition already. Stuart Hamerhoff has shown this, and we have the microtubuli in every single cell, many of them in heart cells and nervous cells. The brain is full of microtubuli. And they have the superposition. They are quantum computers. They have a state of 1, 0, and both together. So the three-state quantum computers. And in every cell, we are using quantum computers already. So they dismantle themselves. They grow up a certain 40 times per second. So there's a lot of things going in from this physical and non-physical material things. We are already quantum computers, but we have to learn to work with these abilities that we have, to make sense and the most, let's say, most benefit of these possibilities, this huge amount of possibilities. Yeah, we can influence that. We can really decide where to go. What is in our control, we can change. But we need to change to see changes in our life. We need to change first. Not life will not change when we don't change. We can't expect the picture in our mirror that this picture is smiling first. So we have to smile first and see the mirror.
Exactly. I think also the one of the steps is probably shift your focus. My suggestion, how I make the rethinking of my priorities. I started to address my own body first. I started to learn who am I? Not talking about my consciousness, my spirit, my soul, but what is the mechanics? What's the internal mechanics of this organism that I call Slava? I say, hello, Slava. Who are you? What's inside you? At least what modern science knows how many organs or organ systems or connections, how your body functions. So we go to schools. Yes, in school we learn biology, elementary biology, elementary things. But later in life we lose focus. We say, "Oh, you should focus on learning this skill to become a bookkeeper or to become a certain uh, professional in a certain way," which is fantastic. But how about readdressing and relearning who we really are? In one of my seminar books, there is a chapter dedicated to all organs and organ systems in our body in a very short, concise thing. So that's the start to focus your energy and attention on internal workings of your body. And many people, I talk to many people in my life, they say, why do I need this information? I have a doctor. He knows what's going on with me. He gives me a pill, I'm happy, and I go about my life. I work, then I come home, I sit, I eat, then I go back to work. And why do, and that's exactly wrong mentality. There's a conditioning which we've been subject to. We were I think it's also a kind of abuse. It's a social abuse that we are discouraged of taking charge of our own body and understanding how we work. Because ignorance could be easily influenced. When the focus is on you have to produce, you have to be a lawful person, law abiding, this is fine. It's nothing wrong with that. But you are a member of society, you're one of the nut and bolt in this society, and your function is to live, like we say, buy what you need to get by, be sick, don't be active. Here's lots of sugars, lots of different things for you. You could be happy with the sugars, it's sweet, enjoy, and that creates addictions. So this is, I return to my previous things that the societal influence creates chronic addictions. When person takes care and knows how bad certain things are for the cells, for the organs, for the systems, person will come no near many things, toxic relationships and approach. Uh, Again, I would say we need knowledge and discipline, a little bit of discipline in our life, because the discipline shows focus not on external factors. Sometimes they're very interesting. It's interesting to watch an entertainment or to spend time doing certain things, but understanding that your body is a vehicle which need constant maintenance. We're brushing our teeth, we're trying to eat clean foods, we wash them. The same with the body, understanding the focus should go more on the internal and to learning who is actually, what is this vehicle? Is it uh, something that is important to you, to your psyche, to your consciousness, to your soul? Or is it just to get by and perish? Your body perishes, your soul goes on. That's fine. That's a beautiful concept. But what about happiness and health? And with happiness and health, we create more happiness and health. It's exponentially spreading. More happy and healthy people will not fight, will
Mhm.
not create bad living for everybody.
Yeah, everybody can make their own choices for that. And at least they need to know that they have a chance to choose better things. And people think they're like programmed, or they know their purpose and just survival mode. They are just surviving, more or less. So, and then they get the chance to say, okay, you can switch off the survival mode and get to a better mode in the direction of happiness. And they say, oh my goodness, that sounds like work. So
Yeah, that's when discipline comes. You have to have you see we try to outsource. Many people outsource, and we are outsource certain things. So in modern society, health is being outsourced to uh, uh, many health professionals
it's a
or
market. It's a
it's
market.
actually we outsource. We don't take care of the problem. Instead of outsourcing and take only a temporary solutions just to patch work, patch work.
Fix it.
Again,
Yeah.
I've lived, as I mentioned, maybe 5 lives, and I observed so many things. And I've started as the average kid in the Soviet Union when everybody had a pretty much similar chances in life, and we were not extremely rich. We were not extremely poor. We were very, very average life with a certain political influences, beliefs. But in my life, there were so many changes which were instigated by the circumstances, but also by my willingness to participate in this change. I could have stayed back in the Soviets, not taking part an active, proactive curiosity, changing my life for something that I had no idea how it would turn out. But looking in retrospect, I took charge. Many times I took charge and I say, I'm not going to be afraid of change. This comfort, which I have right now, does it serve which purpose? Do I have something that I could look forward unknowing? So first immigrating to the US, it was a complete different experience. Before that, spending some time and going to certain places, a few places in Europe and comparing Soviet style of living with the modern Western style, that created from this superposition created a new chance. Many of my classmates, many of my fellows, they had the same opportunities in life, but they chose not to take them. For good or for bad, it's not for me to say. There may be very happy, very nice people. But I'm saying if you are a seeker of better way of life, seeker of happiness, discipline and initiative, take control. And even if you say, "Oh, my circumstances don't allow me to do anything," that's not true. You could go to the store and instead of buying some sweet candy, you could buy a carrot or you could buy a fruit and say, oh, that's a simple thing. I'm not going to eat a chocolate bar. I will eat a fruit. And that's a consciousness choice that the person could make. And this comparing to a price, this is a similarly priced, a small chocolate bar or a good healthy fruit. So simple choices could have a greater impact. And if you have questions, there are people like Dr. Meissner who will guide you through magical coaching, who will give you the knowledge that you need to change and to start afresh from the superposition which we talked about. What do you think, my friend?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would like to take this word of discipline. So whenever you want to change something, of course, may be necessary to be disciplined in the first place. But when you know why you are doing this, that what you do in discipline is a consequence. and then you do it. And that's not a force that you have to bring on your shoes. It's a consequence, and you do it voluntarily because you know why you are doing. And so the big whys. This is, I think, we should talk about the why in life, because that is the big change when people know why they are living, and then the how is easy. But so many people are so, let's say, stuck in their how. How can I live? How can this work? How can this change? It's not our, let's say, it's not our purpose. It's not, we are not meant to find the how. We are meant to find the why, and then the how will create itself. So I think we should talk about the goals and the focus, and discipline is, yeah, maybe necessary in the first place. But the more you know why you are doing, the more it's just a consequence.
Discipline is just a key from the lock. You put the key in and you have an effort to open it, to be motivated to start. And then once exponential progression.
Yeah.
Well, we could give a few purposes to a person. It depends on the levels. It's like a pyramid of Maslow. What comes next on the steps? The purpose is to have a better quality of life every day, not to feel exhausted or not to feel depressed or something that is very down the earth. That's the first step. And many people struggle with this, I know. And it's creating, it's like a snowball in life. And we live relatively here in Western countries, we live a relatively good life as far as material life. So the purpose could be, I have more energy, physical energy, which I could achieve for myself better things, better enjoyments in life, and just looking at the beauty around me, all this infrastructure we have, all these parks and nature, enjoy it. So we have more, or enjoy a company, enjoy a spouse or a friend or a significant other or a child. Enjoy not thinking, oh my God, I have low energy, I don't have anything. I want just to stay in bed and then I go to work. I take 5 cups of coffee a day, so it keeps my levels a little bit up. Or do some addictive, like you said, addictive behaviors, the same pattern. That's one thing. But then there is a higher purpose in life. Many find it in the religion, religious purpose. Why am I here? But how about we go even step farther? So we have different levels of the purposes. I would suggest the purpose. Again, going back to this idea of the observation creates matter. How about why we are, what is our existence, for which purpose, and give it a universal rule of the universe, a law of the universe. I think it's my hypothesis. I'm not saying it's a completely scientific or non-scientific. I'm just saying that what if the purpose that we are here is to observe the universe, which act of observation expands the universe. That means that every living cell observes another living cell, creates another, how the life is created from energy to something. And more conscious life and understanding we have, the purpose of our existence is to observe the energy and thus expanding the universe. Once the universe is stopped, when the observation effect stops, the energy dissipates, like with entropy. It dissipates, and then the universe collapses. How about this is the purpose of the highest purpose, which probably does not contradict religions, but the consciousness and observation of from living organism or cells create more life or more material structures, which we call anything space objects, universe, planets. So, and notice we make this Hubble telescopes and we expand the observation, and more we expand, more galaxies we discover, if we don't look into there, we don't observe, there are no galaxies and there's no other proof. So the highest purpose is to cherish life and to create as much conscious, smart ways of life that we could eventually, this is another theory comes to mind, which is panspermia theory, expand it through another microorganism and DNA to another planets. And these create a new life, which is a new observation. Thus, we're spreading the universe. And the purpose of universe, nobody could, I certainly with my limited understanding and my brain, I cannot fathom what is the purpose of it. But at least I could fathom what is my purpose. To be a conscious observer of myself and the life around me. And this conscious positive observation creates more life and more outcomes in life. So here you could choose any levels of the purpose. Why? That's a little bit philosophical, scientific, spiritual, and also what is your choose what is more important. You don't have to be, again, you don't have to focus on something grandeur as, oh my God, I'm pushing this universe forward, which is actually part of this quantum physics mystery. But like you said, also the focus is on staying healthy and happy. That's creating more life. Happy person will go in garden and plant a seed or plant a tree. Unhappy person will smash this tree, tear it apart, and look at what unhappy children do on a playground. They destruct. Why? Because they're conditioned to be aggressive. And why are they aggressive? Because they're struggling with understanding what's going on. They're not conditioned to be productive. They're always conditioned to be competitive. You're stronger. Johnny, you're stronger than Bobby. Go beat this Bobby kid and take his toy. So this aggression, misunderstanding, and focus, starting from the childhood, creates, like you mentioned at the beginning, that it starts in the childhood and all these traumatic experiences. Why? And now is the time of superposition. From now, anyone could choose and focus their attention to important things.
Absolutely. Yeah. So really to respect life, to respect values. So this destruction is a kind of disrespect. They show the disrespect. And there's some value systems lacking. So we can also discuss that. And with my patients, I discuss values. And we have kind of a competition between the values. So when you have 6 or 8 different values, so we put them into a championship. And so they have to play against each other. And we say, well, who's the winner? So between loyalty and truth, or health and purpose. And then you see what is the thought ranking list and what is the lived ranking list. And there's a difference. And then we can find out, oh, what's the purpose? What's the reason why that? What's the reason for this difference? Well, why do I think different? And I would have a different life based on different values. And this is quite interesting because when we just think of life, we come to different results than we just living. Then we can find to put this together, to overlap and find, okay, this is my value system, and this has to be the system for my health and for my happiness as well. And so there's no distraction, so you can find your path.
I also think that it's very important to choose your information, what you feed yourself, what you focus on, what things you're interested in. If you're constantly immersed into toxic ways of news cycles. There's no end to it. And as we know, it's a cliche, but the news is always feeds on negativity.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We are, again, we are subjected to a bombardment of this negativity in our lives.
Yeah.
And the
Toxic.
focus is, okay, you have to be miserable. You have to contribute emotionally. Maybe there is a higher purpose. Again, I would speculate. There is like a black hole, hypothetical black hole that constantly pulls from us this energy of life, this Gurvich's rays of life. It's being pulled out on purpose or not. I don't know. In fact, um, I don't like to subscribe to conspiracies because in my mind, certain conspiracies, there are conspiracies, but certain that they're smarter individuals of groups of individuals know exactly what they're doing or controlling this or this. I don't subscribe to this. Looking by the world, it's chaos, and smart things usually create an order, not a chaos. And it's mostly chaos. So something doesn't add up. But there is an entity or something that pulls on it because somebody makes this that feeds on negativity, on negative cycles. Then this negative cycles creates destruction. Then destruction takes away the resources, life, material and immaterial futures. And these developments, this technological progress, which is on one hand is great, on the other hand it creates total destruction and chaos. So once person is conscious and first starts to focus on internal factors, then these will be pushed a little bit aside, and with time the social media and all these sources of negative energy or negative information will also kind of with time dissipate. It's entropy. If we're not paying attention to it, then it's not in demand. It's again,
Absolutely.
it's a demand issue. If it's not in demand, it doesn't exist. The focus is not there.
Yeah.
So more people,
Yes.
please join our group.
Yeah.
Join
And
us.
as I said earlier, you can choose to have a better nutrition. You can choose to go to get organic foods. And the same is with the intellectual nutrition. You can choose not to have a broadcasting of these persons, not to go too much into social media, not to go all these reels, not to zap through all these reels. You can choose. It's your choice.
There are positive things, yes, entertainment, happy things, and sharing. People like us, we are sharing something positive, and we could again, we could speculate, stipulate that you better to read a book which will give you tons of knowledge than looking at what's happening and being ignorant. And another suggestion, if you like to participate in political vibrant life. My suggestion, again, it's my very subjective suggestion because I'm also a member of the society. I also vote. I express uh, my choices through vote when I can, but the choices I could express once every 2 years at this time. So what I do, I try to not get involved and not to watch what's going on, and I will contribute only approximately 1 month of informative decisions or informative information to read about the candidates, the initiatives which could directly affect my life. Then I make a really uh, without looking or listening, just watching what and reading what these people or groups of people or parties are doing or have done before and make my conscious decision. But I'm not going to spend 2 years of my life following all the candidates, all what's going on, because that thing changes. Then I could, as I said, as a conscious member of the conscientious, politically involved member, I'm not saying that you put it aside. That's not the issue. The issue is how much of my time of my personal life, I'm involved. So about a month before elections, I get myself information, pertinent information, make an informed decision, try not to listen to all the talking heads, pro or con, I just to read information. Or now it's very easy with searching what are decisions, what voting history, how backfired certain laws or certain things, are these people are adequately equipped to be our leaders or not, and then make a decision. That's all. So if you take the time, a practical suggestion, maybe it's not for everybody. Maybe people are just loving being part of this political thing and ignoring other things in life. But as a practical suggestion, try to take this approach or not. It's not for me to say, but this is at least my conscious, disciplined decision not to become part of this massive psychosis, which I have no control over. I will participate and partake in it consciously, only a short period of time. And what do you think? How what's your opinion on such, again, practical suggestion, or does it make any sense to you and what you see in your life and in your praxis?
Well, I think the people have to unlike what they're doing. When you like what you're doing, when you're content, then you don't have the pressure to change things. Even illness is not the reason to change things. Then you get to a doctor, get your pill being repaired, going back to duty, and then it's done. So maybe this, even if this is the majority, there are many people who have the choice to think different, to accept that they have to change first, and then see a change in their lives. And then they say, okay, what can I do? Of course, then we can help, but they have to be willing for the change. They can, okay, I can at least I can have the imagination that there's something different, that they can feel themselves as a healthy person, not yet healthy, but a healthy person, maybe in 2 weeks' time or maybe 2 years' time, no problem. And so then they try and then they do. And then they see the first results and they say, okay, now I'm on my path. So this threshold, we need to help people over this threshold, that there's really things they can change.
There is a very interesting, also interesting therapy associated with rehabilitation, hands or feet. It's called mirror therapy. In German, it's Spiegeltherapie.
Mm-hmm.
So when a person puts a mirror between a healthy limb and unhealthy limb, and the brain focuses, when person looks at the mirror, see 2 hands or 2 feet, they're on the same. The healthy and unhealthy hand is inside this little division between mirror, and then moving one hand that in the mirror moves the other. And that creates an idea, and the brain gives a signal that this hand is healthy, healthy, healthy. And lo and behold, in a short time, relatively short time, the hand or foot behaves and heals much faster.
Mm-hmm.
So first, as I said, look, like you said, in the mirror, and this unhealthy could become healthy once you put the focus on and trick your brain, saying the brain yeah, it's very difficult to get rid of habits in life. It's
Mm-hmm.
very, because we love automatization. We love this our reptilian brain. We step by step, we breathe. Automatization is our beloved mode of operandi. So
Yeah.
we are all, just like this. But if we take a conscious step and say, okay, how about this mirror therapy? I want to do this. I know it's not so good but I will look in the mirror and I will do something healthier this time. I will probably walk another kilometer today.
Mm-hmm.
Just to walk and enjoy and breathe. And there are tons of techniques. We're masters of providing advices, suggestions, self-help videos. We're masters of this. The only thing is it needs a little bit push, a little discipline. And again, a filter, information filter, I think. And uh, for for us as people who are on this pattern, on this path to create a society or help other people. And I have I have interest in a vested interest in this because I want to have more people whom I could relay, more positive people, more healthy and happy people whom we could join into a group and share ideas, have fun, even play ping pong together and laugh together and do things together. I don't want to meet with some people who are constantly bombarded. Oh, it's so terrible. The world is going down. All these, and then I think, oh, really? Oh, really? Because we are creatures of influences. We have this oxytocins and other neurotransmitters and hormones. We are prone to behavioral commiseration. If you walk in a room and there are people with negative faces, sometimes I call it morning face syndrome. And I try to show it to my children. I say, when I come in the morning, I want to see a happy face. I don't want to see a sour face. That's an unhappy morning face syndrome. Because when you walk in the room and you see this, people are slouching or sitting and they're completely unhappy. We check this, the vibe is there. And they say, oh my God, do I really? Should I be here? No. So I have a vested interest to create a group or gather a group of people who are changing their life and thus changing the life around them for better. And there is no end to this better change. There's no end to it. You could do it. Very simple suggestion. This is what I do. I walk to my office and I take a little grabbing fork, handheld grabbing fork. I take a bag, plastic bag. When I walk, I collect all the trash I see. It's not much, but I see it and it gives me purpose. First of all, I feel good. I'm doing something. I'm improving my way of this path to work. I don't see this garbage, this plastics, this cigarette butts anymore. And when I see them, I pick them up. I say, oh, I did this. And nobody's asking me to do this. It's a conscious decision to take charge. If I don't like something, I like to change it for better. So this is a very simple suggestion. Just start to pick up litter around yourself. Don't wait or don't be, oh, you're a garbage man. Yes, so what? That's good. We get rid of all these nasty things and the karmic, well, karma is actually also misunderstood. It's an effort or a deed. When you do something, it comes in return, but it has to be projected first. So take this, another suggestion. So see how many suggestions we're giving. And I think this is the start to be motivated and a little discipline. It doesn't take uh, a huge amount of time to do something better for yourself and for the environment around you. Doesn't take much, only a little effort.
First step, do the first step.
If you need suggestions, again, write to us. I'm sure the comments are open, or if you need to get in contact and find out what tools we have, how you could take advantage of the knowledge and what we from our experiences, then write to us, send a comment, write to us what you have done to change your life, maybe your story, how you did this, how your life improved, or efforts. So this, I think, well, this is probably a beginning of perhaps our regular podcasts. We'll choose a topic. Today was a very important one about taking initiative and taking control of your life. And I think we gave quite a presentation, tying everything together, like we said, health, happiness, science, spirituality, compassion, understanding, and purpose, life's purpose. I think, well, I would definitely listen to ourselves and follow our advices and definitely read the books. There are going to be links in the description for these books, and definitely come to our Congress on the 27th of June in Königswinter, and the information will be provided here. It's been a pleasure as always. Do you have anything to add, Volker, to?
No, I think everything that is compromise. They put it together in one word to the next step. This is just start.
Well, thank you, my friend, for this dialogue, this conversation. I think this was perfect, and the company so enjoyable. And talking to you is always such a pleasure. So
My pleasure as well.
we are going to be in touch, and thank you to our listeners and watchers for the podcast. And until next time, Volker and Slava will make sense of it all the next time. Thank you.